Hello again, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, we've got, hazardous weather graphics. The dense smoke advisory ended up over the central interior yesterday, actually the upper Yukon Valley and to the Brooks Range. That ended last evening, so there are no watches, warnings, or advisories out for either weather or flooding or anything for the next day or two across the entire state. Fire danger really has continued to diminish. Now there's just, even up here in the upper Yukon Valley, that's about it. And then on the eastern Arctic coast there, still high fire danger, Kaktovik and that area. And then the upper Yukon Valley here is now mostly up along the Porcupine River and just a little bit now along the Yukon. Everywhere else below the threshold there of high as far as fire danger goes. And that's due to the half an inch of rain that Fort Yukon got in the last 24 hours up there, and other places also around the eastern interior is kind of hit and miss, had anywhere from a third to half an inch or so in the last 24 hours. So that's really helped reduce the fire danger. Haven't seen it that light and for a couple of months, it seems like, up in the northeast. And for satellite imagery, rain here over southern Alaska, associated with a low pressure area here, slowly moving across the Gulf of Alaska, and we're getting the kind of return flow on that. So the front's pushing off to the east, but the moisture coming over, back around with the low to the south, keeping it cloudy and areas of rain and showers over the over southern Alaska here, mostly east of the Alaska Range. Rain ended Kodiak Island after picking up about a tenth of an inch earlier on, and winds gusting out of the west to 25 miles an hour at the state airport there. And some rain pushing in across the southeast coast. Really not a whole lot. Amounts on the light side there, ranging from about, say, 0.2 of an inch at Gustavus to only 0.02 of an inch at Klawock down there on Prince of Wales Island. So pretty light rain, and of course the heaviest up here, or the heaviest of the amounts up there over the northern panhandle. You'll get some more tonight. It'll increase as this front slowly moves through and then dissipates overnight tonight and into early tomorrow morning over the southern areas. Then we got some clouds up here over the northeast interior, back on out to the central Arctic coast. Wainwright picked up 2/3 of an inch of precipitation with that feature there. And also Wainwright and Ambler had about 1/4 of an inch of precipitation. So kind of a widespread area of rainfall across much of the state today. Drier though here, just a few hundredths of an inch, with the exception of Marshall picking up about 1/3 of an inch, I believe. Otherwise, here in the southwest interior, mostly just a few hundredths to nothing at all. Got kind of an enhancement of the light rain, fog, and drizzle here that caught the Pribilofs earlier. That's associated with a trough slipping on down to the southeast here. Will be coming into the Alaska Peninsula, kind of riding in on those gusty west winds you saw today. And out to the west, dense fog out at Shimia, 1/4 mile visibility at times throughout the day, but saw some clear skies again, Adak and possibly for Atka as well. And rolling this through, again, you can see northwesterly flow, moisture still coming out of the Russian Far East there. So each one of these weak troughs kind of enhances the light rain or fog drizzle potential and reduce those visibilities back into the IFR category, and even more moisture back up to the northwest there. On the chart today, here's that one weak trough right through here with some areas of light precipitation, reduced visibilities, lower ceilings associated with it, kind of slipping on down to the Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula there. Pretty nice day over toward Unalaska. Had some clearing today, and it looks like some clearing here just near the Pribilofs again, just to your south and southwest. With this moving off, you may or may not, this is quite a band of cloudiness here from the low center back out to the west, so you may not see much clearing at all there for the Pribilofs. Otherwise, kind of a cloudy day. Maybe the clearing was a little more prevalent up here over the Norton Sound area and down south of the Nulato Hills. That's about it. Temperatures mostly in the 60s, 50s and 60s, with 70s pretty isolated up here over the interior area. A place called 7 Mile had 72 degrees or 73 degrees this afternoon. That was the warmest I could find. And that's about halfway between Bettles and Nome up there. Otherwise, everyone else in the 60s. Thunderstorms actually haven't happened yet here, but there's a possibility they will over the next few hours over the eastern interior areas. They've all so far been mostly all into Canada. And we've got light rain, about a third of an inch falling in the greater Anchorage area last 24 hours, with Seward picking up about half an inch of precipitation, 4/10 of an inch down at Homer. And off to the east here, as I mentioned, the lighter rainfall amounts front still off the coast here. For tonight, those will increase, become a little bit heavier, but still just periods of light rain become a little more on than off here. Even over the southern areas, you'll pick up more precipitation. It'll extend back up to Yakutat. You had a 1/4 inch today. You'll probably get another 1/4 inch in the next 24 hours there. Tapers off toward Cordova with just some scattered showers lingering over the North Gulf Coast, Kenai Peninsula, as well as south central Alaska, Chugach Range up to the Talkeetnas, just some scattered precipitation, and also scattered showers here along and south of this trough through the central interior. And then this weak trough really weakening as it slides off to the southeast. Still keep a chance of showers there from roughly Pilot Point to Igagik and maybe Togiak. But generally clearing skies are becoming fair here over the western interior areas, and maybe some low clouds, fog, and drizzle possible in the eastern Arctic coast, and that's about it. And winds are a lot lighter than they have been today, and will continue light tonight. And ridging here out over the Bering Sea will create some clearing, which has already occurred, as I mentioned, over the eastern Aleutians. That may spread into the Alaska Peninsula, possibly into the Pribilofs, and then the moisture of that next warm front spilling into the northwest Bering Sea. Out west for tomorrow, this weak trough lifts northward, so that's going to put the western central Aleutians back, or keep it in that foggy, cloudy, drizzly pattern there, with maybe some clearing over the Pribilofs tomorrow, with areas of low clouds and fog around. Possible clearing, sunshine for the Alaska Peninsula, dry with, again, partly sunny skies for the eastern Aleutians. Western interior and from Brooks Range to the North Slope look pretty good with some possible sunshine, just isolated showers here in the west. Not so much, probably see some rain, thunderstorms here over the 40-mile country from about Eagle all the way down into the Wrangell Mountains, and moderate showers, if not thunderstorms, here over the central interior areas as well, developing into the afternoon. Otherwise, should be enough clearing early on, at least allow temperatures to get into the lower 70s here over the eastern interior areas, and 65 to 70s to sit in the valley. Still a risk of afternoon scattered showers, mainly over the mountainous terrain, but nothing like we saw the last couple of days. And then scattered showers as that front weakens in over the southeast coast. And then on Monday, you still have a little pressure off the coast. That's going to spin another band of light rain or showers into the area on Monday. Heaviest in the north, lightest in the south, and then mostly sunny here, western interior from the Arctic coast all the way down to the southwest coast, Nunivak Island to Kodiak Island. A couple sunny days coming up, and into Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula. Partly to mostly sunny Copper River Basin. Thunderstorms north of the Alaska Range to the southern slopes of the eastern Brooks Range. And for lows tonight, 50s lower to mid here through the central interior, mid 40s in the Arctic coast, and lower to mid 50s for the Panhandle, upper 40s in the Aleutians. Highs for tomorrow afternoon, about like today. Some areas may edge up a little more into the 70s, like Fort Yukon, maybe Eagle. Otherwise, 60s, mid to upper for the Susitna Valley, Matanuska Valley, Kenai Peninsula, and 58 to 62 for the Panhandle. Lows the following morning, 40s Arctic coast into the Brooks Range, 50s in the central interior, and upper 40s to lower 50s southern Alaska. Same thing for the Panhandle, followed by highs. Looks like 70 become a little more widespread now, indicating an increase in the sunshine, especially here over the western areas. and 68 to 75 for the Susitna-Manuska Valley into the Kenai Peninsula, 65 to 72 Copper River Basin, into the 70s over the eastern interior, and 55 to 60, well into the 60s for the North Slope. The Panhandle stuck in the 50s, otherwise out in the Aleutians, mid to upper 50s out there with 40s there for St. Lawrence Island.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphic for Sunday morning. We've got VFR here. Yukon River Valley out to the Delta, most of the Kuskokwim Valley up in toward Kotzebue and Selawik Valley, and then eastward there across the upper Yukon and Koyukuk valleys. Marginal VFR into the upper Tanana Valley there and along the Brooks Range southward in across Cook Inlet. IFR southeastern part of the interior here in the eastern North Gulf Coast. Also some IFR from Bristol Bay on out over the northern Bering Sea. VFR in between there, Alaska Peninsula and Alaska Island, and then the IFR Nikolsky all the way out to Shimia, and some IFR over the southern southeast coast. For tomorrow afternoon, the widespread IFR we had up here north slope to the Brooks Range improves. The IFR pulls back along and some cases off the coast, especially on the west side here. Lingers on the east side, marginal for the north slope. VFR, much of the interior, some lingering marginal VFR here over the, from about Denali up toward Catalina and the eastern Copper River Basin. Some IFR through the day. And marginal VFR here for the southeast coast, Prince William Sound over to Yakutat, Cordova. Also marginal here for the Bristol Bay area and Aleutian Range. IFR from roughly Nikolsky all the way out west, and then a narrow band of VFR here just south of the Pribilofs. More IFR over the northern Bering. And for Monday morning, IFR central eastern Beaufort Sea coast, mostly marginal in the interior, mostly IFR over the eastern Copper River Basin from about the Alaska Range there on down to the Wrangels. And then VFR Kodiak Island, southern Cook Inlet, Kuskokwim Valley, IFR here out along the southwest coast, and also IFR over the Aleutians, southeast coast. Marginal VFR with some IFR down over the southern areas. And that'll break out to some VFR there from, say, Metlakatla and Net, possibly Ketchikan to Stewart and Hyder. Otherwise, marginal VFR for the remainder of the area up into the southeastern Copper River Basin. Good VFR here in the interior, and marginal for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, and IFR for the Aleutians and the Bering Sea. Pretty widespread again, but getting more marginal here as you head in toward the coast with some VFR there around Nelson Lagoon. IFR right off the southwest coast there, and then up through the Bering Strait. North Slope Arctic coast looking pretty good. And for Anaktuvuk and Adigan, look for VFR for both passes tomorrow. And for the Western Alaska Range, Lake Clark, Merrill, occasional marginal VFR. Same forecast for Rainy. Occasional marginal VFR means could probably be VFR at other times. And for windy, I'll go VFR. Any showers and clouds will be of the VFR variety. And for Isabel, VFR trending toward marginal throughout the afternoon, and Mentasta even lower. Marginal VFR becoming IFR at some point in the day tomorrow, especially in the afternoon. And for Tanita, VFR trending toward marginal conditions mid-afternoon or early to mid-afternoon on. And for Portage, marginal VFR. Chilkoot and White looks pretty marginal. Possible IFR in southern entrances in the morning, but go for a marginal VFR forecast. Freezing levels here, 8,000 feet across southern Alaska, the southern interior, Gulf, into the Panhandle there. And a little cooler here, 6,000 feet, right along near the Kuskokwim Bay area, back across the Yukon Delta into the northern Bering Sea. And much warmer conditions out over the Aleutians here, 12 to 14,000 feet. And for icing, none out west here, the Bering Sea, Aleutians pretty good. The only area here, central Panhandle on up into the eastern interior with all that moisture. Could be some areas of considerable moderate rime icing above about 8,000 feet here in the south to maybe 7,000 up here to the north, but it really starts tapering off in that area. Jet stream, one upper low tracking in just north of the Panhandle tomorrow, and another one here kind of dropping in toward Kodiak Island. So the jet down to the south, still cutting in across the southern Panhandle, some ridging out here over the Bering Sea, 9,000 feet. high pressure just east of the Seward Peninsula, a couple of lows here. Not too strong, but some pretty good northwest winds across the Alaska Peninsula, 25 to 30 knots, and then 20 to 25 into the Panhandle. Otherwise pretty light elsewhere. And for 3,000 feet, about the same pattern here with the stronger winds coming across the Alaska Peninsula. Turbulence-wise, some light to isolated moderate chop, northern Panhandle from Kodiak Island down across the Alaska Peninsula and St. Lawrence Island.
It's kind of hard to explain how important weather is to our job. I mean, it really affects everything we do.
In 2018, NOAA launches the GOES-S satellite, which takes its place in orbit as GOES-17. Working together with GOES-16, the two new geostationary weather satellites will provide constant watch over the United States and the Western Hemisphere, from the west coast of Africa all the way to New Zealand, helping monitor severe storms, wildfires, and daily weather patterns. Since its launch, NOAA's GOES-16 satellite has already demonstrated its critical capability for keeping our nation weather ready. Throughout the active 2017 hurricane season, GOES-16 delivered imagery with detail and clarity never achieved before, with 4 times greater resolution than previous NOAA satellites, and delivered this imagery faster than ever before, helping forecasters predict the path of a storm and where and when it will intensify. These accurate and timely forecasts allowed for emergency managers to prepare for evacuations, map flood areas, and save lives.
So the weather matters. The weather matters before the weather happens, and the weather matters after the event happens, because what we're able to do to prepare, allocate resources, provide information to the public through the media beforehand, and what we're able to do afterwards, how and when the waters are going to recede, so we know we can get vehicles with life-saving food and shelter equipment down a particular highway. All of that depends on the forecast.
In the GOES West position, GOES-17 will be able to provide critical data for the westernmost United States, Alaska, and Hawaii.
We're talking about getting data updates in just seconds, so we can quickly spot wildfires and closely monitor the wind direction and their intensity. The crispness of the data coming in at a faster rate will also help with fog forecasts. We can see the moment the strata starts to develop or when it starts to move out.
Like GOES-16, GOES-17 carries a suite of advanced instruments, including tools for sophisticated earth sensing, lightning detecting, solar imaging, and space weather monitoring. As an equal partner in the sky, GOES-17 will expand coverage of the advanced baseline imager technology across the Pacific Ocean, allowing meteorologists and local officials to see severe weather systems developing in real time.
So instead of seeing something, say, this large, that as you zoom in actually gets kind of blurry, you're actually going to see something that is much more detailed.
In its GOES West position, GOES-17 will be able to monitor conditions in the western U.S. like wildfires, coastal fog, and atmospheric rivers when storms from the Pacific dump heavy rain and snow over the western U.S. GOES-17 will have a major impact on fighting wildfires in California. Up-to-the-minute information and crisp detail allows forecasters to spot fires faster than ever before, even before the first 911 calls come in, and to better track and predict the path of large, dynamic, and dangerous fires.
It's amazing to see what we can get and at the level of detail and the speed that we can get the information down into the ground that makes our decision-making way more accurate.
With a view of the Pacific Ocean, GOES-17 will also provide a critical eye over shipping lanes vital to the U.S. economy, protecting cargo and passenger vessels from dangerous ocean storms. GOES-17 will also provide a high-definition view over Alaska, resulting in better weather forecasts and improved monitoring of sea ice, wildfires, and volcanic ash. The advanced baseline imager on GOES-17 can distinguish between clouds, sea ice, and snow cover, a critical need during Alaska's dark, cloudy winter months. GOES-17's geostationary lightning mapper monitors lightning flashes, including the in-cloud lightning most prevalent in severe storms, helping forecasters determine when a storm is forming, intensifying, and becoming more dangerous. Thanks to GOES-17, emergency managers will be equipped with more accurate weather predictions and faster warnings, providing a real impact, saving lives, and protecting infrastructure. Watching over Earth from 22,300 miles above, AKwx will provide vital data to our weather-ready nation.
Hi, I'm JPSS. I'm a high-tech weather satellite that orbits our planet. I do something called a polar orbit. I circle the Earth from North Pole to South Pole, over and over, while the Earth spins. While I do that, I get lots of information about what's going on around the globe. I watch storms, clouds, and rain. I take the temperature of the ocean, measure air quality, ozone health, and take pictures of the land and sea. This information is used for all kinds of things. It helps us take care of our coasts and oceans and all the amazing things that live there. It helps us monitor harmful weather events like floods and droughts and measure the health of the environment. Most importantly, it helps us predict weather 3 to 7 days in the future. That means I can be a big help ahead of storms, where future warnings are important. I send information to the National Weather Service. They use the information to create forecasts. The forecasts are shared with people all over the country to help prepare for weather emergencies. So you look to the sky and wave. I'll be flying by.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at today's sea ice analysis. Boy, pretty open out here now into the Chukchi Sea, almost over to Wrangell Island and eastward here. And even you got open water here past the Arctic coast in the Mackenzie Bay area. Still have this area of 6 to 8/10 ice concentration, I believe, here along and north of the Barrier Islands. It's sort of stuck in place. So continued melting over the next 5 days is the forecast. Coastal water forecast for the south coast of the Panhandle here, southwest, 15 to 20 knot winds with those seas as high as 7 feet, maybe 8 feet here. So small craft advisories for the remainder of the coastline due to either seas or the winds at 25 knots or both. And southwest the direction, south 15 to 20 knots, southern central inside waters, and then 25 knots, small craft advisories for Lynn Canal, seas 5 feet. Those drop off to 15 knots for the day Monday, southeast 15 for Stevens Passage, really light winds out of the south for Clarence Strait, southwest 15 on the south coast, seas 7 feet, and still small craft advisories on the north coast due to 8-foot seas, and those winds will be out of the south to southeast, 15 to 20 knots. Prince William Sound, light westerlies at 10 tomorrow, 2-foot seas, north 15, eastern North Gulf Coast, west 15 in that western zone, and 7-foot seas there with the Barren Islands, west 20, 15 knots, Kamishak Bay out of the west, Cook Inlet, south to southwest, 10 to 15. Outlook for Monday, kind of a variable wind pattern here for Cook Inlet, predominantly southwest in the afternoon, north of the Forelands, southern Cook Inlet, variable to east at 10, westerlies 25, small craft advisories for Kamishak Bay, northwest 20 for the Barrens, and light variable winds 10 knots here for the North Gulf Coast, and seas 4 to 5 feet, winds variable to east, and Prince William Sound at 10 knots with 2-foot seas. Kodiak Island, west-southwest tomorrow at 20 knots with 5 to 6-foot seas. Sitkinak to Cape Sarachev, west winds at 20 knots. West 20 also on the north side of the Alaska Peninsula, west 15 into Bristol Bay with 5-foot seas. Moving on to Monday, west 15, 3-foot seas here for Bristol Bay, and south winds at 10, pretty light there for the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. Pacific side, west at 10, seas both sides at 4 feet, and 15-knot winds from Castle Cape to Sitkinak and up the east side of Kodiak Island, southwest 15, Shelikof Strait. Fox Islands tomorrow, predominantly south with a southerly component, either southeast to southwest, 15 knots, seas 4 to 6 feet, and 15-knot winds out of the southeast 8 AKwx and southeast 15 all the way out to Shemya. Monday, south 15, Shemya to say Kiska or Amchitka, then it's southwest 15, then south-southwest 15, 8 AKwx. And kind of a variable wind pattern here for the eastern Aleutians, 10 to 15 knots there, with seas running 3 to 4 feet. Southwest coast, westerlies, 10 to 15 knots, highest there south of Nunivak Island, and the Pribilofs just south at 10, 5-foot seas, southwest 20 with 5-foot seas for St. Matthew Island, and St. Lawrence Island south at 20. Next day, south 15 here, Pribilof, St. Matthew Island, 10 to 15 knots southerlies for the southwest coast, 20 knots out of the south for St. Lawrence Island. Eastern Beaufort Sea coast tomorrow, east at about 15, east 10 here for the central and west side, Cape Beaufort, down to Wales, southerlies 10 to 15. And then bring some small craft advisories into those zones from Wales up to Cape Beaufort, south to southeast 25 knots, seas building to 7 feet, east 15 on the west side, and then really light winds here, kind of a light variable pattern on the eastern coast, and then east at 10 with 3-foot seas on the central coast. Tonight's weather again, rainfall will tend to increase and become, especially down over the southern areas there as this front pushes in. Slow moving low pressure area here, another trough kind of developing back here that will eventually follow that in. And scattered showers, have possible evening thunderstorms here over the eastern interior. A slight chance anyway of some scattered thunderstorm activity. Otherwise, showers sort of in a diminishing mode. And for tomorrow, look for some possible widespread thunderstorm activity or rainfall anyway here over the eastern interior from the Wrangell Mountains up to about Eagle, and also over the central interior. They're partly mostly sunny here, and enough sunshine to get in the lower 70s over the eastern northeast interior. And then for Monday, more sunshine, 60s to mid-70s here in the western interior. Same thing Kodiak Island, Kenai Peninsula. Scattered thunderstorms over the eastern interior. Some rain in the Panhandle, and no change out in the Bering Sea.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.